What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? This is Marcus Frazier from Teachable Tuesdays, here to motivate you, encourage you, and inspire you to be a better you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. If you could, please hit the subscribe button. Make sure you click the one where all the notifications are turned on, because it's like 3 different settings or something like that. Hit the like button, leave a comment below because it's good for the YouTube algorithm, and feel free to share this video on social media. And without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. Please make sure you stay until the end because I have a couple of announcements that I am going to make for some dope things that are coming up for Teachable Tuesdays this year. So I want to start off by saying this is the self-sabotage video part 2. If you have not checked out part 1, I would highly advise you to exit this video and go check out part 1 and then come back to part 2. Make sure you leave a comment and like the video over there as well, just so you can be caught up to date with what we're talking about. Last week, as a quick recap, we talked about self-sabotage. What does it mean and what does it look like with different examples, right? So this week, it's not going to be as long as the video from last week. We're just going to be talking about some ways that we can help avoid self-sabotage altogether. Or if you're in a self-sabotaging situation, what can you do to, make out with damage control or just prevent it from happening in the future in general if it's already too late, too far gone, right? And I'm also going to give a couple of examples as well. So hopefully that helps out too. So just as another quick recap, self-sabotage is basically when you mess up something. Sometimes it could be on purpose, but oftentimes it's not. At times it could be something that's very subconscious. You don't even realize you're doing it until it's too late. And it's one of those things where it can kind of prevent you from obtaining, certain opportunities that, had you been aware of what was going on, you'd probably be able to obtain those things, right? It happens with business opportunities. It happens at jobs. It happens with romantic relationships or potential romantic relationships. So many levels, so many layers to it, right? So how do we prevent self-sabotage altogether? That's a little bit of a tough question. And I say that because a lot of times, again, we don't realize the self-sabotage is taking place until we're either knee-deep in it or until the damage is already done. And it's like, dang, I shouldn't have said that. Dang, I shouldn't have did that. Man, you know what I'm saying? But the one thing I can definitely say about self-sabotage, I didn't say last week, is self-sabotage typically happens through self-prophecy. And what is self-prophecy? That's basically when you're predicting things to happen in a negative manner or positive, but in this case, it'll be a negative manner. And then it happens because you pretty much spoke it into existence. Now, people say when you speak things into existence, or better yet, you got to be careful what you say out of your mouth because you can speak things to existence. And I believe that to be very true. Not all the time, but a lot of times it can be very true. If you say, man, today's not going to be a good day. Today's probably not going to be a good day because you already put it in your head that today is not going to be a good day. So you're expecting the worst to happen. But if you put it in your mind, and you say it out loud, well, today's going to be a great day. Even if bad things happen, you can still look at the positive as opposed to already starting off on the negative end of the spectrum, right? So I guess I'll do an example and maybe that'll help, explain how you can avoid self-sabotage, right? So I'll use a romantic relationship example because, as you guys know, February is coming up and we're jumping into our love series, relationship series for Teachable Tuesdays that I do every year. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But let's say you are in the process of, getting to know somebody, right? Somebody you really like. You guys are dating. Maybe you're exclusive. Maybe you're not. But whatever the case may be, things are going well, right? And it almost seems like things are too good to be true. So what you'll do is you'll start distancing yourself because you'll be thinking, nah, it's too good to be true. So maybe I need to back off or act different so that way I can kind of protect myself just in case I get hurt. That's a form of self-sabotage, right? So in that situation, how could you prevent yourself from doing that to you and potentially messing up the, potential relationship that you could have? Well, I would say number one is try not to overthink about it so much. A lot of times self-sabotage, it occurs and it starts off occurring by the way we overthink. Now, I can admit I'm an overthinker. I have issues in that department. And sometimes I have to slow my mind down and just say, okay, Marcus, is this logical? All right, we know anything's a possibility in life, but is this logical? You know what I'm saying? Or, if you're thinking about a situation where something is too good to be true, and it might even not even be a romantic relationship, it could be a job, it could be a business deal, right? Start looking at the facts. Weigh out the pros and cons. That's one way you can avoid self-sabotage. Weigh out the pros and cons. Now, in some cases, it might not be self-sabotage. It might be your gut feeling really warning you. But oftentimes, you can put yourself in a position to where you can mess up something great because you overthink, or you don't think about it from a logical standpoint. You think about it from an emotional standpoint. Anytime you get overly emotional when it comes to trying to figure things out that are supposed to be logical, that turns into self-sabotage, okay? It's okay to have your emotions, but think from a logical standpoint first before you input your emotions. And I know that's something that is tough to do because as human beings, we oftentimes think on the emotional side, right? So that's one way that you can prevent self-sabotage. Another way that you can prevent self-sabotage is talk it out with somebody. If you keep it to yourself, you have a better chance of messing something up that's really great for you as opposed to talking to people. Now, when I say talk to people, don't just talk to any old body. Talk to somebody wise, okay? Don't be so quick to talk to your boys or talk to your girls. And I know some of y'all in the comments are probably going to be like, well, I trust my boys, I trust my girls. That's cool. That's perfectly fine. That's fine and dandy. But I think, and I've said this in my Teachable Tuesdays time and time again, I think everybody should have a mentor. So if you have a mentor, somebody that you look up to, maybe it's your parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, older cousins, older brother, sister, whatever the case may be, maybe a teacher, maybe a professor, somebody wise in general, talk to them, make sure you're not tripping. Because you might not be, but then again, you might be, you know what I'm saying? And I know I talk to my mentor all the time because I'm an overthinker. And he'll tell me straight up, Marcus, you overthinking. Or he might say, you know what? You got a good point. Maybe this could be a possibility. But when you have somebody wise that you could talk to, the reason why I say that helps prevent self-sabotage is because now you're getting a different perspective. When you think about self-sabotage, that's oftentimes when you're kind of thinking on your own. And that's another reason why you have to be careful about who you talk to. Because you could talk to the wrong people and could end up totally messing something up that you have because they're just not wise in the situation. I mean, I know an associate of mine, an old associate of mine, who basically was dealing with a guy and, things happened that weren't to her liking and she went to talk to her girls about it and they gave her the wrong piece of advice and, ended up pretty much messing everything up as opposed to just like, first and foremost, talking to the guy himself to let him know what was going on, or better yet, talking to somebody wise to, see what could come about from this. And, she regretted it, right? Because she was like, dang, I should have talked to the guy, or I should have thought about it from his perspective and this and that. And, oftentimes when we get advice from the wrong people or we try to get advice from ourselves, which is not always a good idea, that can happen. You know what I'm saying? So now on the other end of the spectrum, how do you do damage control when self-sabotage has already happened? Now, I'm going to just keep it real. Some of y'all might not like this, but I'm going to keep it 100. Sometimes once the damage is done, the damage is done. And you just got to take the L and keep it moving. We've all been there, and myself included. I've self-sabotaged many of things, many of opportunities, many of potential romantic relationships, a lot of things, even jobs. And it's one of those things where sometimes what's done is done and ain't nothing you can do about it. You got to just keep it moving, right? A lot of people say, well, if it's meant for you, it'll come back. I'm in the minority with that belief. I don't believe that. I'm a firm believer that something similar may come back your way. I do believe that God gives other opportunities as long as you're alive, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll get that same opportunity with that same thing or that same person, right? But in some cases, the damage may not be so far done to where it's so far gone. So acknowledge the fact that you've, self-sabotage. Be honest with yourself. Be real and be like, you know what? I really messed that up. If it's a situation that's involving you, see if you can figure out a way to not just learn from it. Obviously, that's the most important thing. but figure out a way to, I guess, fix the issue at hand, if that's a possibility. So let's say you self-sabotage your day, all right, and the day is still going on. That doesn't mean it has to end in a bad way. Maybe you started off wrong. Maybe you were wrong throughout the day. It doesn't have to end on a bad note. The day is not over till you fall asleep and it transfers over to the next day, right? So as long as you're breathing, as long as you got your eyes open, as long as you haven't laid down your head to rest yet, you still got an opportunity. So you can make that day better by putting it in your head. You know what? All right, today wasn't the greatest day, but I'm going to end on a good note. I'm going to end on a positive note, right? For some of y'all, it could just be like just simply meditating for a second to get your mind back on track. For some of y'all, it could be prayer and meditation or just prayer. You know what I'm saying? For some of y'all, it's just change of perspective, period, about your day. All right, you know what? Work wasn't that great, but I'm going to go home and I'm going to make sure I end it on a good note, right? When it involves another person or a group of people and you self-sabotage a situation, after you've acknowledged within yourself that you messed up, go back to them and let them know that you messed up. And in a situation like this where you self-sabotage, you got to put your pride to the side. Really, you got to put your pride to the side anytime you've hurt somebody, because a lot of times when you self-sabotage a situation involving another person or a group of people, it affects them as well. And you got to understand that you may not have had no intentions on hurting them, but you did. So you need to go back to them and apologize. Let them know, hey, look, I'm sorry. I messed up. I really did. And I'm going to do everything in my power to change. Now, if that person doesn't accept it, it is what it is. Or if those people don't accept it, it is what it is. You did your part. But at least be genuine and let them know, I really feel bad for what I did. And I'm really sorry because I didn't mean to do that. You know what I'm saying? Especially because, like I said, oftentimes self-sabotage is not done on purpose. It's done subconsciously, and we don't realize we're doing it until it's done. And sometimes it's to the point where we might not even realize it till weeks, even months later, regardless if it involves just us or it involves other people, okay? So I hope that helps. Again, quick recap. Preventing self-sabotage really just starts with, being able to talk to people that are wise, sitting down for a second when you're getting a little overly emotional. Try to think more logically based. Think about the pros and the cons and whatnot. As far as damage control from self-sabotage, it really depends on how far gone it is. If it's too far gone, just take the L. You got to learn your lesson and do better next time. If it's not so far gone, start doing damage control. If it's with yourself, figure out how you can fix it. I know that's easier said than done. Trust me, I believe it. If it involves other people, acknowledge, regardless if it involves other people or not, acknowledge the fact that you messed up. But if it involves other people, go back and apologize to them and figure out how you can do better next go around. Okay? All right, so that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. Before I go, want to let you know two quick things. Number one, like I mentioned in the middle of the video, next month we're going to be going ahead and doing the love series that I typically do every year. I think this will be the first year, though, that I'm actually doing it on YouTube. I've done it on social media, Facebook and Instagram for so many years. So this should be very interesting. We're going to see how this works. I didn't do it last year because I had a lot going on last year. I'm also going to do a special video that's going to be dedicated to my friend Cato. May he rest in peace. A special tribute to him because next month is going to be the year anniversary of his passing. I'm also going to do a video where I'm going to be extremely vulnerable with you, and I want to talk to specifically my fellas, my ladies too, but definitely want to reach out to my fellas. So that'll be like an extra Teachable Tuesday special. So, be on the lookout for that. And last but not least, I have some special guests coming on my videos, or not video, my channel, very soon throughout this year. In fact, I plan on, if everything goes according to plan, recording a video with the first special guest that I'm going to have on here this weekend. And I'm just going to let you know right now, with these videos, I'm not going to be doing any talking. I'm going to introduce them, and then they're going to talk about their organization or their business or their social media platforms or YouTube platforms, whatever they're part of. These are individuals that I feel like are dope. They're doing dope things in the community, and they're really doing things to make a difference, not just in their own lives, but the lives that are around them. So make sure you stay tuned for that. I'm That's a new concept I'm gonna have on YouTube. I don't know if all the videos are going to be in person, or some of them are definitely going to have to be virtual because some of these individuals live far away. But we'll see. I'm still in the process of planning everything out, but I already have a few people in mind. So the first video should be up at the end of the month, and I'll tell you next week who that guest is going to be. So that way, when we get to the last Tuesday of the month, or before we get to the last Tuesday of the month, you'll already know who's going to be on that video. And I think I'm going to be aiming to do a video with a guest every last Tuesday of the month. I think that's what I'm going to aim for more than likely. But yeah, I'm very, very excited about that. And thank you for those who have been subscribing lately. I've been noticing that I've gotten a few subscribers up. So really, really appreciate it. I actually have a goal this year. My goal this year is to get 100 subscribers. So again, if you're watching this video, which there are quite a few of you who are watching my channel but not subscribers, I don't know why, but hit the subscribe button. And as I always say, this is Marcus Frazier from Teachable Tuesdays, here to motivate you, encourage you, and inspire you to be a better you. I love you, and I will see you guys next week. I'm sorry. Before I go, I forgot to update you guys. Your boy is COVID-free. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that last video, but maybe you guys probably noticed because I was walking outside. Yep, I no longer have COVID. Thank God. My symptoms were extremely mild. The worst of my symptoms were probably the day before I got tested, and 2 days, the day before, the day that I got tested, and the day after. Those 3 days were probably the worst for me. Just, body chills, fever, body aches. But your boy's good. All right? See you guys next week.